welcome to the United We Scan podcast. Just a quick disclaimer here that any of the views and opinions expressed by the individuals are not that of the USPS or the NRLCA. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and if you are in need of any assistance, please contact your designated union representative. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. I don't even know what episode number we're on, but hey, we're going to go with it because guess who's back? Yes, I am. Woohoo! For now, anyways. And tonight I have Josh and Meow joining me. We're going to do a national convention recap. I have some attendee stories to read. And yeah, we're going to do that. So it's been a while. How are you doing, Josh?
I am doing great. Well, good. Count's over, so that's a relief. Not that it matters for me on what I get. I'm already at 48. This week, hopefully, will be a quick, easy week. Fingers crossed. The weather, the heat is finally broken. Last week, it was in the 80s. Then over the weekend, it went up low to mid 80s, I should say, and it felt nice. Then we had a couple of days it popped up into the 90s, and today I had to put on jeans because it was chilly, and it's supposed to stay in the high 70s, low 80s for the forecast.
How are you doing, Meow?
I'm doing okay. I too am happy that the mini mail survey is over because I think it's obnoxious. Even though I know it's really important, it's just adding another layer of chaos to our already fun times days that we have. But weather here's been actually really nice. It's been in the 60s and 70s, which are my favorite. I don't think it's cold. I'm wearing shorts and a tank top and or a t-shirt, so I am doing good. How are you doing, Kristen?
I am doing pretty good. It's been an interesting few months for me on the home front, but things are doing all right. I too am glad that the mini mail survey's over with, and just waiting on those 42, 41s to come out to see if I have any disputes. But other than that, it went fairly well. I've got a new to me sub now. Those that remember my sub from the past is going regular as of the 20th of this month. Congratulations to him after only a year and a half. And then the the sub that had started on the 48K back in February when that was taken over by a new regular in July, he wanted to jump ship. And so because the sub I had gone to the Ox route, he came over to my route, and he's doing really good. I think he was thrown to the wolves in the beginning. He did his OJT, was around for a couple weeks, and then the regular had broke her hand and decided to retire at the time. So he pretty much was thrown to the wolves, didn't have anybody to coach him really on the route, and just ran the route for 5 months. And now that he's over on my route, he's getting the coaching that he didn't get before. My customers that have met him, none of them have anything bad to say. They all talk great about him, and he's doing all right. And he, as of the 20th, will be the sub doing all the route hopping because there's one more above him that will be taking the Ox route with a 5-1. And yeah, and then we have one other sub, newer one in the office, and so mine will be doing the route hopping. So Relief Day work list sign up comes out on the 13th. I may end up going on it for a change. Just because
Get them back.
just because I want to bank some money. I'm not looking for the X days right now. But other than that, no, I've been good. So, and it feels good to be back, honesty, guys. It really does. I've missed it.
We missed you.
It was a lot of contemplating on whether or not I was going to come back or not. And, I had thought about it at first and was thinking about it. And then I had some discussions at National with some people. And I still came back home and still thought about it and talked to the other half. And he was okay with me coming back. So here I am for now, anyways.
Yeah, my wife was like, she's like, you at 7:00 on the nose, you'd be hop up and out the door and logging in. Just you were happy as can be. So
Yeah.
That made it easier. That made it really easy for me to make the decision to actually come back on. And I know there's a lot of people locally that probably won't be happy about that, but as long as I don't have aspirations to upward mobility, at least at this moment in time, I'm good.
yeah. So
Well, your
we're
goals, both of you guys' goals are just to help people of the craft, so that's
exactly
what matters.
Yeah,
that's really all it is just to get the people in the craft pointed in the right direction. And again, the importance of being active, which I'll discuss on one of the attendee stories here. It was a post on Facebook. I know it was at least in our Facebook group, and it may have been in others. I'm not sure, but I did reach out to the poster and ask permission to read it, and I've got green flag. So it was one of those that just really called out to me, going, you know what? I need to read this because this is what people don't understand, and this is coming from somebody who came and discovered what national convention really is about. It's not a party, people, and I don't. We don't need to repeat that every single time, but it's not. And yeah, so
Far from a party.
I know, I've got plans for stuff as we're going forward, and I know Meow went down the tunnel of the FLSA. I would love to cover that in the future. That rabbit hole you went down there a while ago,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and that's an
Oh,
important one.
yeah. Yep. That's a
Yeah,
fun one.
I uh, I need to get my hands on the history of the NRLCA book that they give out to first timers. They started that after I was a first timer, so I need to get my hands on one of those books because I would love to do a history episode and just for people better understanding newer people or people who are like, I don't get the, what's the big deal about stuff. Get the put the history out there, the outline of it. So yeah, we're taking this back to what it was supposed to be, and that's part of the reason why I'm here. So we're gonna get on that. I know, Josh, you did not go to national this year, so you may at
I
least
did not. And
sit out this one.
what's that?
And not necessarily sit out, but you
And
know what I mean.
oh, I know what you're saying. It hurt me to my soul that I wasn't able to go. It just everything was going wrong in
Oh,
regards
I get
to
it.
being able
We all
to do
have
so.
that those time in our life. That's life, unfortunately. No, it was really great to see a lot of the listeners and meet some of them face to face for a change, and reconnect with the ones that came out as first timers last year that were their second timers this year. And it was I think it went pretty good in general. It was an interesting one. I will say this was the first time I have ever seen elections be done before lunchtime. And I
Yeah,
was
that was
even
pretty.
talking to
Yeah,
ones that have been going for almost 20 years, and even they said, no, I've never seen it like happen that quickly before. But there was only two positions that had other people, well, yeah, two positions that actually had more than one person running for the position. So that's why it actually got done quicker. And then, I mean, it was what, 7 o'clock when we got out. So it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like, you know, we've done in the past where it's
that's
9,
still
10,
great.
11 o'clock when we're finally wrapped up.
Yeah. When the employees are
Yeah,
waiting for us to leave to clean the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were kind of doing that while we were going over resolutions too, but
Yes.
we were nice and respectful and moved when they wanted to clean the area. So, but how did you think National went, Meow?
It was a little bit different this year, I think. I mean, I kind of had a different perspective on it and stuff too, but I I think that it went well still. There's some things that I think got shortened and or I may be misremembering. Like they didn't really show a lot of the like auxiliary members as much or the juniors. So those little things. Um, and then maybe I'll say the bad. I'll say the bad before I say the good. I also didn't like that we were rushing at the end and not considering a lot of the new business stuff. I was hoping that we would at least consider some of those instead of having to wait till next year.
I agree.
Yeah, that was kind of a little bit of a bummer, and especially since the elections had gone so fast. like, let's at least go through the nitty-gritty of hearing these resolutions and such out. So that was a big bummer for me. But I enjoyed seeing that we had so many resolutions this year, even though we've kind of there. It's funny. The first year I went to national, there was no RX talk, and then as the years have gone on, it's been more RX centered, and so there that was really good to see. It was really good to see everybody and actually have a face like, oh, I don't need to just message you, like you're right here with me. That was really cool. To the point where, like, when I came home, I was like, dang, like, I miss you guys, but overall, I mean, I think it was really good. Other than the humidity in Florida was pretty brutal, but that hotel is really nice. It's who was it? Somebody said that they would rather do their 48K during Christmas, or that not rather, but that their 48K during Christmas is not as hard as going through the business at National, because it's so mental, and you have
Yes.
to think about it from different perspectives and whatnot, and so that was good to see. And I don't know. I like seeing the live version of the camaraderie that happens on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and and that people are actually like engaged. Another big thing that was really good was there was more people getting up and speaking at mics that I had not ever heard before. And I go down the rabbit holes of reading old minutes from the conventions and such. And a lot of there's people who got up to mics this year that I don't think I've ever seen in the minutes before. So that it was cool to hear different voices. So, but overall, I think it went good. I think that when I came home, even though I was exhausted, I feel like we did do good for the craft, and that we did move the craft somewhat in a better direction, but not everything, went good, but you still have to look at the positives and the gains that we got and move forward with them.
Oh, and I agree. I mean, baby steps forward are steps forward. I mean, that's what I think some people don't realize is you can't. It is almost impossible to do massive changes at one time. As much as we would
Yeah,
all like big things to happen all at once, it's unfortunately that's just not how it works.
yeah, it's well, and there's no way. I mean, the other thing that I also found really interesting was that, and I figured this was going to happen, is that there were so many people who were concerned and upset about the contract ratification meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing that multiple states had all submitted stuff regarding it, to the point where some were combined and edited in such a way, and so there was kind of a give and take that I think overall that we're gonna. I know that we lost the in-person meetings, but at least we're getting like question and answers live in the Q&A, or in the Zoom meeting, so that'll be good.
Yeah, and like and I know I was verbal about it with a few people talking about it too. Was, back during that fun C word, and we had the contract ratifications via Zoom. Yes, you can have the pre-recorded um,
Presentation,
presentation.
yeah.
Thank you, and that's fine. But just having a pre-recorded presentation and emailing in questions and answers did not fare well with people this year. Whereas in the past, you know, during that time where we couldn't have in-person meetings and taking live Q&A, I think really does make a difference because that allows people to answer questions. And I have to agree, having the live Q&A at the end definitely does help. And if we can take it to like a similar way of what they did back then on, if you couldn't attend your state one, but you could attend a different one, but only those states that were scheduled for that day were be able to ask questions, that still allowed a viewer to see some questions and answers, and some Q&A done. Maybe their question was asked and got answered, at that
Yeah.
time. So I mean, yeah, having having the live Q&A definitely will make a difference. I mean, I get where the in-person meetings, there was hardly anybody at any of the meetings this year, which is sad. And unfortunately, I couldn't make mine due to things going
Yeah,
on at home. So, I get it.
there was only like 400 and something people that went to all of the in-person meetings.
Yeah.
And then there was what was more shocking for me though was that there was only, yeah, and I agree that they rushed it, and so there was that, but that there was only like 500 and something people that saw it online.
Mm-hmm.
That was more shocking to me. That was a gut punch. So I'm hoping that this next round of contract negotiations, I mean, we can try and share it more. Maybe I don't know what we'll do, but live and learn, I guess, and take what we've did this time around, and hopefully well, so here's my PSA. Any union member listening to this right now, please download the NRLCA app for your phone right now and set the notifications on. They don't spam you with notifications, but Jesus, they send so many good notifications out. So many of your questions can be answered at your fingertips. Like, just download the app now. It's in the Apple Store. It's in the Google Play Store. Just download it.
Oh, I agree. I have mine. I think even I use the app more than I do logging into the site on the computer because it's just right there. And, I'm not having to go the extra clicks with the mouse to get to the steward reference guide to look up the information. I just hit the SRG on the bottom of the app and boom, it's right there.
Yep.
The app,
my phone.
Yeah,
with the biometrics set up, I just need my fingerprint. I don't even have to remember what my password is anymore.
I got the same thing. And
me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much easier. I do believe the app is a bit more user-friendly than the website itself. But, yeah, definitely. They do send out the push notifications, which is great, especially when new MOUs drop or, you have a ratification coming up.
Yeah, and typically they also whenever they do the push notification, they also do share it on their social media. They'll post it in their Instagram stories, which is great, and then it'll link you to the website. But I also agree that maybe they should do an email list.
Mm-hmm.
I know that like I've forwarded, if it's not confidential or anything, if it's an alert or something like that, and I know that there's a couple people who don't look at the app or they're not as technologically inclined, I'll send it to them that I know are union members and just go, hey, here, this happened. But if you're listening to a podcast, you should be able to download an app on your phone and have that union app on your phone.
And, I'm not opposed to an email list either. I think that would be a good thing because sometimes I have missed the push notifications. It pops up, I kind of glance it, but I got so many other notifications that may be up. I may have cleared it off without actually seeing what it was, or I didn't fully read it, and I clicked on something, it disappeared, and then, by then the website's bogged down because everybody's trying to see what's going on, and I can't get into it.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to an email list, but, we'll when it comes to the technical side of stuff at national headquarters and the cost of adding things to the website, I don't know if they'll go for that or not, but that's a resolution idea for next year, definitely.
Yeah.
$2,000 for a new tab,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you said you have some emails from people that sent from their first time.
I do. Yes, we will. I'm going to jump into those first, and then I'll read the post from the other person. So let me pull up the emails here again. I am going to go in the order that I received them. So this was from a first-timer to national, and it says, and I'm just going to read what's written. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. I mean, that literally, you're going to take the positive and the negative, and hopefully maybe anybody that might be listening up on the powers to be sitting in the big chairs up there, may take some of the constructive criticism, and say, hey, how can we make this better in the future? But, wishful thinking sometimes. So the first one, it says, my experience at the National Convention was good. I got to see old friends, meet lots of new friends. We really do have amazing people in this craft. We do have glaring problems that need to be addressed. Throughout the convention, it seemed that only a handful of carriers got to the mic to address the congregation. Surely there's more opinions that need to be shared and heard. The complete dismissal of new business was abhorrent. With about half of the attendees being retired, there is a sizable rift between the craft and those that attend the convention. The theme of this convention was apparently all about saving money, as we did away with in-person ratification meetings. There's a million other places we could trim the fat, like not spending thousands of dollars on a $175 appeal. Educating carriers didn't appear to be on the agenda, as it is too costly. We have a sociopath for a president who decided the best campaign speech is to talk shit about the other candidates, while the rest of the board is just waiting for their turn. There is no talk about fighting for carriers, there is no talk about abuse from management, and there is no talk about how to break pattern bargaining. Our leadership, and I use that term loosely, seems to only care about fear-mongering. The rallies we should be having to protect our carriers, fighting for wages and working conditions. It was good seeing all of you. So that was my first one. And, I kind of do, caucus is not easy for everybody that runs. I have been there twice. But I do have to agree that it could have been done better instead of taking digs at the opponents. I yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it could have.
Yes. Yes, it could have. All right, so here's my second one. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. This was not my first national convention, but my fourth. But I thought I'd give my perspective of the convention. Each year that I go, I feel that the time goes by quicker and quicker. I enjoy spending time with fellow rural carriers with different perspectives on different items. Each year that I have gone, there typically is at least one resolution to change the convention to biennial, and I've always been against it because I think rural carriers coming together yearly to network, communicate, and vent to one another and draft new ideas is important for the survival of our craft. I consider myself an introverted person, but can be extroverted when it is needed. This year brought out my hardcore extroverted side. A lot of carriers think that National Convention is just a big party, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. It's exhausting. It is mental work and thinking about each item of business that we have to conduct on top of it. It is also in another time zone for some carriers, so having to adjust to the jet lag while trying to be productive adds another layer of difficulty. I think this year there were even more voices to hear from the floor, from hearing from Kristen, Bill, and James at points, but hearing from Hernandez, delegate Texas, to Cato Benila, delegate from Florida, Evans, delegate South Carolina, and Lewis, delegate Oregon, are a few standing out names that I thought brought a variety of good perspectives on issues. You can tell each have the passion to make a positive change for rural carriers across the country. I actually enjoyed hearing from our Deputy Postmaster General, Doug Tolino, even more than DeJoy in the last few years. It is obvious to me that Mr. Tolino, in as many titles as he holds, does also care about the Postal Service and its survival, and that multiple union presidents wanted him to be our new PMG. The rally in Orlando was slightly different than Reno, but it was still passionate. I enjoyed hearing from Mark Diamondstein, the president of the APWU. His speech at the convention was a little more controversial for some people, but as union members and federal workers, we have to open our eyes to what is going on to other brother and sister unions across the entire country. We need to stand together, and that was his main message, whether you agree with him or not. It was interesting this year that we had a four-way choice for president of the NRLCA. It was disappointing that Don Maston decided to bash the other candidates during caucus night instead of voicing positive change and presenting new ideas for next year of his presidency. Vice President Patrick Pitts should have just ran for president. The race for the next director of Steward Operations may have been one of the closest elections I've seen in a long time. It was also interesting seeing that a four-year executive committeeman position went unopposed. Seeing as how there has been much speculation that this might be President Maston's last year as president, but next year will be interesting, and I hope that the National Board takes the items and such that they learned at this convention and enacts positive change for rural carriers across the nation. We need more subs now more than ever, and something has to give in order for us to survive. This needs to be addressed, and I don't think it could have been reiterated enough to the National Board. I am already planning my trip for next year in Grapevine, and I hope to see many more people next year at the convention. duly submitted, some rural carrier living out here. And I know I
That's
have
pretty much.
another one. So you guys have already seen a little theme. So, but this is the perspective of a second timer. I have procrastinated on this review for a while now. I was desperately trying to rationalize and reconsider my perceptions, mulling them over and trying to see the other side, if you will. Sadly, I was unable to turn the lining of my cloud into silver. Let's start off on the positive. The facility was much better this year, more in tune with the event we were here for. Not that Reno wasn't good. Being at convention ready to do business and represent those fellow carriers back home is something I enjoy. There is hope that some changes can be made, even if small. State of the Union's not an official required event, but is a sort of expected if you're already there. Went pretty much as expected. The tone was a bit off, but tomorrow starts the official convention. First day is always a bit tough to get through. Lots of pomp and circumstance, and not really necessary in my humble opinion, but I get the need to give some love to the local community and facility hosting us. That said, I do not see why I need to hear from management, especially with our union president fawning over him. Of course, no questions were allowed. So I'm not even going to express anything about the speech from the APWU president. I lied. We open with a unifying message about how everyone is different, but we can come together, then absolutely make it clear that if you don't see things his way, you don't belong and you are wrong. Just sad. So we get our reports on the real work, constitutional amendments and resolutions. Looking over them, I see the usual attempts to increase salaries and limit conventions to every other year, and so on, as well as some really good ones. Okay, things are looking up. I noticed a theme as I reviewed the numerous ideas. Many, if not most of these resolutions would be entirely unnecessary if we had managed a decent contract. Truly, there was a lot of good ideas, and some did not agree with, but they mostly amounted to us fighting over the scraps left under the table. I have picked up on the idea that some felt that there was a fever of call the question while I see where they are coming from. In the majority of cases, I think it is more that we have beaten many of these poor horses to death for years, only to have our president ignore the carcasses and their growing stench to only address his select few ideas with postal management. All in all, we did our jobs and made it through the pages and pages of resolutions. I had one of my submissions fail and one pass. I will always say it is not the passing that is most important. Having the debate on the floor at least gets the ideas heard. Caucus night was not too long and went as expected. It is truly a great thing to get those candidates in that setting and be able to hear their answers and judge their reactions. I won't elaborate on anything other than I was extremely disappointed in the manner in which our president conducted himself. It is truly a reflection of a person that has little class. One other election related comment: I am saddened by the debacle and the improper use of union equipment for political purposes issue. I do not know all the inner truths of the issue, but there is no question the rules were violated here. To what degree and what should be punished or who should be included? I just don't know. There is a smell coming from this as well. It may be true that there is no real crime, but there is a stain from it regardless. On the last day, we had a delegate use a point of personal privilege to express his displeasure at the political tone and attitude of some of the speakers. I applaud his statement. I don't care if you agree or disagree with his opinion. There should never be a tone at the gatherings that makes so many of our membership feel what this man expressed. Kudos to him for having the courage to speak up. And a huge shout out to any candidate willing to put themselves through the process and stand up to make a change for their fellow carriers. You deserve more credit than can be expressed. Overall, I have come back to real life and I slog on. I will not let this demoralize me. I'll keep up doing what I can. I'll attend my state convention next year. National will remain a question for now. I do not think my finances will permit attending Grapevine, but we shall see. There is time between then and now. Yours truly. And then I got a second email that said, I left out a sentence. I meant to say, if we had gotten a good contract and would force the PO to hire. Thank you.
Nice.
So those are the
Yep.
emails that I got. And then I'm going to
I
read.
saw a running theme in them.
What was that, Josh?
I said I think I heard a running theme in all of those.
There
Mostly
kind of
nothing.
was.
Just
All
a little
right.
bit there.
Yeah,
little bit.
let me go ahead. I'm going to read this post that I had permission to read. Gotta pull it back up here real quick. I did have it up, but and then it went bye-bye. Now, this is somebody that is in our Facebook group. I did get her permission to read this. This person was on the fence, and they went to the convention. I do not believe they were a delegate, but they were on the fence about wanting to leave the union. They were going to say, "Hey."
I think they were an alternate.
Okay.
They were an alternate.
And so then they decided, they made this post. I really, really liked this post, so I reached out to them and asked if I could read it. So I'm going to. Now, this person was dead set on leaving the union because of the way that the elections initially went. But a few days later, they reconsidered. So I'm going to go ahead and read this post. It says, "So I am staying in the NRLCA union. My anniversary date is in June. My thoughts are, since I have to stay in until next June anyways, and our state convention is just a couple weeks after that, I keep pondering ways we can properly and aggressively make the changes from within, changes that need to be made. I learned this past convention that things that we wish to happen can be introduced and voted upon in the forms of resolutions. Again, I'm not sure exactly how that works and who is allowed to submit a resolution, but I was able to see firsthand how resolutions were voted upon at the state level, and then many were passed on to national level to be voted upon there. They called them sort of a wish list. One of my thoughts is, why is this whole union procedure such a mystery to us paying members? I'd like more information on the ballot we get every year in the mail with the list of delegates to vote upon, from what office they are from, are they retired or active, or how are they voted on in the past. Again, I'm not sure if listing a retired versus active names on the ballots against any labor laws or not, but I tend to find out. And yes, it is. But I think the membership that is paying every month into this union should be entitled to more information as far as what happens and how they can personally and individually submit potential changes. Again, I was prepared to quit since it seems we're going down a narrow road again for another year, and I did not want to support that. I certainly understand members pissed off enough wanting to quit. However, maybe we are the ones that need to give it another round and see what we can learn and do different within this next year. We have almost a year to figure it out. I've thought that before, but also some things don't happen overnight. As for me, I'm going to just write down certain things specifically that I think need changed, and perhaps we can turn that into a form of a resolution to be submitted at our next state convention. Maybe everybody should do this. That at least a start on doing something different. Us pissed off members who are ready to quit may be the silent majority. And if we can vote the right people in next time, could this be our first substantial change? So maybe my June anniversary date, which prevents me from quitting until next June, could be a blessing in disguise. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
And I didn't get to meet you this year, but I hope you can come next year and I get to meet you then, because that one was kind of really heartfelt. It was a way, I'm ready to get out, but wait a minute. Maybe it's those that kept saying we were going to pull our dues. We're the ones that need to start doing this. We're the ones, and that's exactly what I've been trying to say for 3 years. This is why
don't
we
pull
need
your
to.
dues, get involved in as much as you can. If it's even voting idea for a resolution, going to your meetings, involved in your meeting if you're able to. That's how we make the change.
Well, and the big thing that a lot of sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go on.
The only thing I was going to say is that a lot of people don't realize that when people are saying I'm going to quit the union, you are the union. Despite I know that we have people up in leadership, but it is literally every single one of us. No matter what you bring to the table, it takes every single one of us. And the moment that you should never think that your voice in it doesn't matter, because it does. And it's just a way of, you just need to figure out ways to voice it, and going to these local meetings and seeing things through. Because when you can see a resolution go from your local meeting all the way to national and get it and watch it be debated, I mean, like, that feeling is just like, it's awesome. Or that you saw somebody that it was their first time ever writing a resolution, and you watched it gavel pass at national.
I've
You know,
I've
like
had that. I've had that feeling of one of my
Me
resolutions
too.
gavel passing at national before. So I understand that. I don't mean to cut you off, Meow, but I want to read um one of our listener comments here real quick. And it says, in my 2 years of going, it's not the divide between the retirees and the active carriers that's the problem, which I kind of agree with, actually, because we have some really good, awesome retirees out there. The problem is the
yeah,
haves and the have-nots. The haves got subs, the haves got Saturdays off, the haves got decent routes, the haves got decent management. Any changes the have-nots propose to fix the problems they have get shot down by the haves.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
so do I.
Well, and or the I had it this bad, so you should have it this bad too. And it should never be like that. It should always be, let's move the bar forward so that the craft is more successful and that it's easier for us, you know, in the long term. We should always be bringing, you know, making it better for the
Let's make it
next round of people coming in.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And what I was starting to say is, get you need to get involved to the extent that you can.
Yeah.
Even if I understand life happens, you can't make the certain local, state, national meetings. Like for example, like Kristen said, I wasn't able to go this year because of life happened. But even if it's, hey, I have this idea that might be good for the craft. Reach out to us. Reach out to your representative, your local rep, your ADR, your DR, somebody, someone that is involved to help you write that resolution to get it submitted.
Or even if you
Because
have a
sometimes,
resolution that you've put together and you're unable to attend your annual local meeting to present it, if you know somebody that's within your local that's going, you can always ask them to present it for you. There
Yep.
is ways of doing that, and you can have them submitted. But I get
And I feel
another listener comment going with some of these offices in the have not section. It's where it's going to take abandoning the job and getting a PDI to get to go to these meetings and conventions for some. And I understand that. I mean, yeah, you're contractually covered under Article 24, but at the same time, it's it's literally for some people almost impossible to be able to because there is no coverage at all in their office. And surrounding offices may be short staffed and don't have anybody that they could loan out to cover for that time. And that's the issues that need to be addressed is not just necessarily the hiring, but the retaining. And the hiring can come down. I mean, I look at the postings that go up in my office. I mean, as of the 20th, we're going to be down to 3 subs. One's going to be on an aux route. And then we have 2 that are less than a year in. One just came back. She started last year, was here for a little bit, and then came back this year, over a year. So she restarted again in June or July. So she's still newer. And that's all we're going to have, So it's going to be more difficult. I don't even know who's going to be running my route on October 4th when I leave for Italy because my sub already has approved leave to be gone for then, too. So, yeah, you don't know. I mean, it's sad. But especially if you are in a smaller town like I am, and you don't have the best management in the world, trust me, by far. And when you live in a small town and management lives locally in that town, and you have the revolving door of employees, doesn't matter what craft it is, it seems to be anymore. Word goes around fast of you don't want to go work there, you don't want to work for them. And that's why we're not getting the people applying for these jobs. And the ones that do apply and they come in and then they see the shit that they're tossed with and the hell they're put through, they walk right back out the door. That's the issues that need to be addressed.
I saw online too that apparently that there is more unemployed people than jobs, and so as I know that sounds really messed up nationally, but I was kind of hopeful for us in the post office, thinking maybe some of these people will apply at the post office and that they can be retained. I'm hopeful for it, but I know that there's a lot of places in the country that are actually, they can't hire subs. They have vacant routes that they can't get people for, and they are turning them into contract routes because there's no one.
And then in other parts of the country, when the contracts are up, they're pulling them back in or pulling them in
Yep.
general. I mean, we have one highway contract route in our office, so I understand, the highway contract part a little bit. And my highway contract carrier went off on the postmaster recently because her supervisor failed to submit her stuff in for her to get paid for 2 months in a row.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and it's basic of how people want to be treated.
yes.
And it starts with, the people listening to this with us and trying to, help where we can, and, communicating with management to please not treat the employees like crap, and using, the dignity, fairness, and respect language that we have. And hopefully management, you want to hang on to those subs, especially right now with Christmas is comes at the same time every year. And I mean, are we gonna lose more subs due to peak? There's a lot of what ifs, and I hope that we really need people. We really need to be able to retain. Management needs to retain the subs that we have and not keep driving them off.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's some of the biggest problem.
It
I
is.
think it's more of a retention.
I think
It's a retention issue rather than a hiring. Yes, we have an issue with hiring, but I think it's more of a retention. At least from my experience, it's management with their poor attitude or lack of people skills run these subs off, because we've had some good subs come through my station, my office,
Mm-hmm.
but management being the way they are, they just then quit. They didn't want to be back. They didn't want to be there anymore.
Oh, I agree. Retention is a huge issue. I mean, I've seen some really good subs just get fed up with management and leave. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't blame them. My daughter's one of them for the most part. When I had unicorn management when I first started. So I know what it's like to have awesome management and an office where everybody works together as a team and everybody appreciates everybody. And like once a month a bunch of carriers would get together in the morning before work and have breakfast, and the subs that showed up, the regulars paid for the subs breakfasts, stuff like that. I remember that stuff. And then when they retired, we got not so great management. And then when I transferred, I had okay postmaster, and then they took another office. And my management they have their moments, but it's just I get it. I know why these RCAs are walking right back out the door. I see it. And if I hadn't been already 3.5, almost 4 years in when I transferred, and if I would have started on the management I have now, I would have left too. Plain and simple. I get it. I wouldn't want to work for that shit. But
Yeah,
I was already invested in, time wise, and I love my job in general. So that's, I deal with it, but I also file grievances when necessary, and I help educate the new RCAs coming in, and even some of the regular carriers that have been around for a while, that, there was no union presence in my office until I transferred in. And it's still an ongoing battle with me at times. Our local steward is doing awesome. I totally enjoys the job, actually wants to be an area steward, and which is great because we have surrounding offices that need the help. And
Right.
And I applaud him for for standing up and doing that and wanting to help more people in that type of capacity. I applaud him, and it's awesome. And I wish we had more people out there that were willing to stand up to their piss poor management. I get where people are afraid of the retaliation and they think it's going to get worse. But honestly, the less you do to help stop it, the worse it's even going to get. And it's going to continue.
Yeah, and even to kind of tie it even back with national, I think that so there was about maybe 20 RCAs and PTFs, I want to say, in total from what I gathered there, and one ARC.
Yes, one arc.
There was one ARC.
I applaud the ARC for being there. That is awesome. I was like, ooh, one ARC. Awesome. I went as an RCA. My first convention was 2018, and I've been to every one since.
Yeah, I think it, because some of them I know they were just like deer in the headlights a little bit, but you could tell that they were getting their fingers into it, and at
Mm-hmm.
least seeing like, there is some stuff, and we're trying to make some change for the better. So it was refreshing to see some of them there, and know that their office let them come, and it wasn't a fight with management to get them to come.
Oh, I agree, 100%. I am so looking forward to Grapevine. Not necessarily,
Me too.
not necessarily Grapevine in August
Yeah,
itself,
yeah.
but I'm
That
looking
would be
forward
nice.
to next year's national convention.
Well, last time when I was, they were in Grapevine, and I was hoping to go, but ended up not, because that was the first year I put my name on the delegate list, and I ended up dead last.
I've been
So
there.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not going. But so my wife's like, why want to go to Texas in the middle of August? I'm like, I'd rather be in an air conditioned conference room than in an LLB
Yeah, yeah.
in the South.
Yeah, and it does get cold in those conference rooms, let me tell you.
Yes, it does.
But no, I
Yes, it
applaud
does.
everybody that ran for a position that were not incumbents. I applaud them for getting up there, putting themselves out. There was a last minute nomination for president, and I feel that all of the candidates did very well during caucus. Those that were not incumbents running, for the most part. But yeah, no, I think everybody did well because caucus is not something easy to do at all. It can be very intimidating. It literally is a foot race from one room to another, and then you're going to walk into this room and not know if you're going to get another beating like you got from the last one or what's going to go on. You don't know. And so, it
Luck
is,
of the draw.
yeah. It's definitely, I give a mad applause to everybody that ran because I think they all did well during caucus.
The one thing too that I was wondering, that I've had a couple conversations with different people about, and I don't think I've actually talked to you about it, is that why is it a caucus night and not like a debate? I've been trying to like dig through things to try and figure out why it ever became just caucus night and not the candidates all like conversing together in front of everybody. And if, let's say, for instance, I'm just hypothetically speaking, like, let's say that they just did a debate in the main hall, and they wouldn't have all these caucus rooms. It could save the association money, which I know that they try to incentivize a lot. But could we learn more about the candidates that way if it's in a debate forum in a respectful way, and it's maybe moderated by area conference, regional conference presidents or something, But I just don't know why it ever turned into the caucus forum versus like a debate forum.
I could see that. I could see it as being instead of the individual caucus rooms, doing it on the convention floor and having each candidate that's running for that particular person be up the stage. A question is asked on the floor, and they each have, 2 to 3 minutes or whatever to answer the question. Put a time. Obviously, you're going to put a time limit on it. Otherwise, you're going to go on forever. And we know how caucus can go on forever when you have 20 people running for the board. So
Yep.
yeah, I could totally get behind doing something like that. That would be another binding resolution idea.
Yeah, and I don't know if it needed to be a binding resolution or if it would need to be a constitution change. But
Yeah,
caucus night, I think, was already a binding resolution, but constitution change would at least kind of put it in there. But I've actually looked, and there's no language right now about caucus night in the Constitution.
so it
So
could
Well,
actually go
then
either way
make it
or
a binding
both.
resolution. Yeah, you'd have to go through the Constitution and pick a spot would most effectively be placed and add new language, like complete new language. But yeah, like what Kristen said, put it as both a Constitution change and a binding resolution. That way
yeah,
you keep track of it.
Yeah, and it's caucus night is actually not in the convention rules. There is stuff regarding caucus night in the binding resolutions, but yeah, I don't know. I was kind of trying to dig to figure out why it ever became like that. And then if that didn't pass, then or like hypothetically, let's just say that let's try and do that. But um, the caucus rooms also are divided up really in a strange way, and there's like some rooms that only have like 40 people in them, and then there's other ones that had like almost 300. And
Hmm.
so that was kind of a weird, that's also a weird um, dynamic that I've noticed this year.
And when they want to talk about keeping costs down, I could totally see it as doing it on the convention floor. So that's the extra meeting rooms that you not necessarily would need, but that would open up one of those rooms for Eagle Fest.
It would.
Yeah.
That's true too. Yep, that's a really good point.
Because that was something that was brought in under one of the resolutions, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Of having a
Yeah, it was
specific,
non-binding. Yeah.
a bigger room for, and that's just an idea, and it's not necessarily something National would have to pay for. If you got people that are willing to do it, even including the person putting it on, that would be willing to pitch in a few bucks for that room, to be able to do the Eagle Fest. I mean, I personally have not been to an Eagle Fest, but I've done the smaller groups where we go through resolutions. And Meow and I and several others sat at tables couple numerous nights going through resolutions together until they started cleaning
Well,
and breaking out the vacuum cleaner, and we went and changed locations or called it a night.
like last year, we were up in Europe till all hours of the night going through them a couple nights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't get through all the or we didn't get through all the resolutions, but we got like in the 300s, I thought.
Yeah, we had like a page and a half
like
left, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were done. We were like,
we were
we were fried.
Yeah, we were well done at that point. Yeah.
I don't. And then I was sick of pizza. When I got back, I was like, oh man, I don't want to eat any like pizza for a while.
Hey, I had to buy everybody a pizza when I sent down to go get loaded cheese fries.
I had pizza tonight too, so it's like, oh,
yeah, I know, right?
Reminisce. Yeah, we had a lot of sidebar.
We did. But that's what we do. It's not a party. I mean, I get it. People see the pictures from the banquet, people on the dance floor, and the after hours photos of people hanging out together. That honestly is the wind down. I don't think there was a night where I didn't get back to my room before midnight. Even after,
Yeah, there was.
even
Yeah,
after,
even after.
even after convention was over on Friday night, and I was trying to get back to my room because I knew I needed to get up in the morning and get people to the airport and load my car and hit the road. It ended up being like 1:30 in the morning by the time I got back to my room because we were just having conversations, you know, about,
Yeah.
stuff go over, possibly for next year, talking to, you know, national officers and just the wind down afterwards. And I think that's what people see is the wind down after being on the convention floor for 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes later on Fridays and Thursdays and Fridays are horrible. Those are late nights in general.
There was a guy on Friday night, like when I was down hanging out and stuff too, and he came down. I think he came down to just smoke a cigarette, but he also was like, "I can't sleep. I'm up about." He was still thinking about the appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Like your brain is still like moving in it, and he just needed to do something to like process it still. And I think that is what the wind down. I ran when because we were doing the resolutions right there outside of where the banquet was until it shut down at 10 o'clock there. But I ran in there and there was a couple people still in there dancing, and like I think there was a guy taking pictures, and I was like, all right, this is gonna be the one picture of me,
Mm-hmm.
partying it up, even though I'm doing resolutions right now, and then ran back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot. It's a mentally draining week for sure. And I think I've said that for every episode we've had post convention is it is a mentally draining week, and then I have to get back in the car and drive the 2 days home. I don't know if I'm driving
Yeah,
or flying to Grapevine yet. Depends on who's all going with me.
yeah, and I agree with somebody else said in there too that I it was weird this year because they didn't really acknowledge the auxiliary and the juniors as much as they should. And I know that this organization is very it's trying it there's I know there's some states that don't have the juniors and they don't have the auxiliary, but the point of it is to bring your family in with you and build that community. And I felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect with it this year because they did not bring them in and introduce them. And bringing spouses and your family with you, that might be why some people don't participate, and they need to know that you can bring your family with you.
Oh yeah,
Like there's
definitely.
going to be activities for them to do and such too. And the juniors are learning about parliamentarian procedures, and that might be the only time that they ever get to learn about that sort of stuff. So um it's important.
I think
It's important.
part of the problem with that was they actually finished elections so early,
Yeah, but
and
there's
it was just
still
business.
they still
They
though exist though over there.
Even
right, well,
though even though our elections were done before lunch, we still had
you
pages
guys
of
still have business,
resolutions. We still had the appeal to
right?
go through and
But
new business. So
I'm
yeah,
saying
it could.
that was the reason that they probably, and I'm going to use finger quotes here, accidentally skipped it, because usually they get done business and everyone's going to the mic with a moment of personal privilege, and that's when they usually bring them in and announce, who the new board is for the auxiliary and juniors.
Yeah, we didn't have as many point of personal privilege people saying stuff this year either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, 'cause they all wanted to go home, and we're in the last few years with elections lasting well into the night. You're there anyway. You're stuck there anyway, and I hate to say stuck there, but so they have time in between the elections and with them counting the ballots to take care of all this other stuff. The fact that, thankfully they actually got done elections early, they cut a lot of that stuff out because everyone wanted to finish up business, what business they had to get through and go home or get on with their evening, whatever else they had that night to get, to do.
Josh, you've talked to a couple people that went, like, what were the main takeaways that you've gotten from other people that you've talked to that went to national this year?
You mean other than caucus?
Yeah.
Um, I know in my office we had two women that went, one of which was an alternate delegate. The other one went as a guest because she didn't put her name on the ballot, and the first one wanted her to come as a roommate, and she enjoyed it. She said she would go back next year if she gets elected as a delegate because out of her price range otherwise if she isn't going to get paid or reimbursed. So this was her first timer at state and national this year. So it's glad to see that new people are getting involved, all around. She did. She skipped Friday because she wanted to actually get to the pool, and as soon as she got out there, it started thundering and lightning, and they closed the pool. But it was for the most part, everyone that I talked to seemed to have a positive outlook on it. Some of the ones that haven't been to in the past are realizing how much work and mental exhaustion it actually is and needing that time to decompress before going back to work or looking forward to going back to work rather than that because let's face it, our job is there's not much mental with our job. Once you learn the job, as long as you're paying attention to the name and address and you know the route and where you're going, then the line of travel, there's really
Maybe.
not much to the job itself. It's just a matter of the volume and the packages.
Yeah,
Depends
there
on
was
the
no
day.
decompression. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I came back and I was like, whoa, okay, I'm fighting for train time now.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah. I mean, we literally came back and a lot returned with with the mini mail survey going full blast because that
Right.
started the Friday while we were all at convention. And, I came back to work on Wednesday or Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. I don't remember. Yeah, I took Monday off. It was Tuesday. So it's like,
There was
okay, now I got to flip the switch here and go into mini mail survey mode. And remember, I got to count my inverteds while I'm out on the street. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
there was
I
a
forgot one day.
there was a on Friday morning. It was really funny because I was sitting next to one of the side doors like before convention had started, and there was people on the phone running outside because managers hadn't been starting to count stuff
Mm-hmm.
for the mini mail survey, and it was like 10 different people I saw going, the managers didn't start counting stuff, and I thought I was like, oh yeah, because all the people that would remind them are all sitting in here right now. Like,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. That was my thing the day before I left because I left on Friday
yeah,
and Thursday morning in the office, I said something to my postmaster. I said, "So when are we doing the walk distances in the office?" She's like, "Oh, the supervisor's doing them next week." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna be gone. Remember?" Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I can do yours when you get back from your route. That just find me. So I got mine done before I left. Not that I wouldn't have an issue with my sub doing them for me, and nothing has changed in my office, but it was more of a relief for me to know that I could have that done with me prior to leaving for national. And then, of course, finding out the edit books weren't done when I got back was not good, but I took care of that.
yeah, just gotta do it. Yeah.
I took care of that. I don't remember if we passed something on to prevent mini mail survey and convention overlapping. I don't remember
Yeah, and
seeing.
I think because of the fact that they've planned them out
Yeah.
4 to 5 years out, I think that that's why. But the language in the Constitution says that it has to be between August and the end of September,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe somebody does a constitution change where you change that time frame, because typically this mini mail survey is about the end of August, early September, around Labor Day, give or take,
Yes.
because it's got to
Labor Day
coincide
is
with the beginning of the guarantee year is what I've seen. But if you push the convention closer to into July, you're butting up at the end of the fiscal year for the NRLCA, and so I think that that's partly why they've decided to have national in this time frame. But I think all the dates are on the website though too for what they.
For the ones that they have scheduled up through Spokane, which is what
29.
2020. Oh yeah, Orlando back in 2029. That's right.
Yeah, and a lot of the states. Well, there's been a couple states I saw that they do their state conventions like in March and April, which I was like, dang, that's early for me and thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the states do their state conventions at the beginning of June or in the middle of June, not end of May because of graduations too, but uh,
Well, let's see. Next
somewhere
year, it
around
looks
that.
like it's going to be about the same week as this year.
Yeah, and then like SAC is
But
in
the count will probably be
end of
the week
February, early
after
March.
because
Yeah.
we're down to, and then it looks like it's about the same week in a couple of years.
Thoughts on proposals to change where we have national, avoiding Orlando, Grapevine, Reno repetitively. I know that the vice president has some new location site visits that they will be doing. I don't know, this year or so. A lot of that has to do with contracts and rates and getting. So a lot of times, if they get the one contract, they easily can get another contract somewhat close to the similar price range. I agree. I would like to see a change up. I mean, this is my second time to this resort in Orlando, which I don't mind this resort, but it really sucked walking out to my car that morning to go get it in the downpouring rain when I was parked in the back 40. But
Yeah, yeah.
I can't control the weather, so
I would say, to be fair, you could have torrential type downpours anywhere.
It
exactly.
was like a monsoon though. There during when there was a
Oh,
hurricane in the
oh, I
middle of
know.
the ocean.
Yeah. So,
It was,
it's a lot of that has to do with that. Again, I don't know exactly how the process is up at national office with doing all that. That's just my own speculation, having worked in, the hospitality industry for a decade and a half. So, but no,
yeah, and
I
Well,
I think he
I
is
know.
trying to switch it up. I mean, he because they did not announce 2030, and I even actually went back through and looked at his uh his yearly report, and funny enough, and I think he also noticed this too. This was only the NRLCA's third time ever being in Orlando, but it's just because we had gone there so recently that it feels like
yeah, 2022.
it was
Yep.
yeah, that and then we're there again in 4 years. But I think that I think he is trying to find different locations and he is open to I think maybe that's why he didn't announce 2030. But it is very costly for some of the states, especially to have traveled down there. And if you actually even look at the um mileage and per diem report that you got at national, you'll be able to see those states that are like it was expensive to send their
Hmm.
people there
Yep.
versus going to other places in the middle of the country.
In Indianapolis in 2027 is a newer location. I mean, it's not one that I've been
Yeah,
to,
I would say
and
I was just gonna say I don't remember seeing that. And yes, that is a repeat, but it was canceled due to COVID, so
mhm,
that'll be our first time there. I know talking with Patrick last year in regards to different locations. He said if you have anywhere, let him know because let's say for example it's a Marriott. He goes with Marriott corporate, so if he can get two Marriotts back to back, even though they'll be in different locations, it's still a Marriott property. They'll work with them and they'll give them a big, better discount that way, on room rates and everything.
yeah, and actually, Grapevine is a Marriott location, which I'm like, yes,
And
because I do the Marriott rewards points thing. So,
but I just said Marriott as an example. I think they work with two or three different of the chains or have in the past.
hmm, yeah. So it's so next year's Grapevine, Texas. The last time we were in Grapevine was 2019, and then the 2027 is Indianapolis. 2028 is Spokane, which was the location from 2020 that was canceled due to that nasty little C word again. And then
Yeah.
2029 is back to Orlando, which I'm really not opposed to it all that much. It's an easy straight drive for me, but yeah, it would be nice to visit someplace else too. I agree.
Well, I know I sent him 4 locations here for him to work, to work with.
So, guys, we're gonna
Yeah.
wrap this up because we're going over an hour now. But
You don't want to ramble more? I can ramble.
oh, I could ramble too. I
Yeah,
mean, don't get me
ramble.
wrong.
Yeah, you know what is ramble?
You may end up in an episode of me and Meow just rambling the whole time about
Yeah,
something. Who knows? This girl and I will
yeah.
go back and forth constantly.
I'll just sit here and nod my
Hey,
head.
So
Okay,
yeah,
you can see it. I'll be nodding and agreeing. All right.
right, right. So yeah, yeah.
you can ramble too.
So yeah, so the changes that were on the national board, we ended up with a brand new 4-year executive committee person, Natasha Patterson out of Florida. We have Don Maston for another year, Patrick Pitts for another year, John Adams still at director of labor, and then next year will be the 4-year executive, which will be the 2-year term that Mike Morello finished out,
Yep.
and then
Oh, yeah, that was Nikki. Yeah, it was Nikki as director of steward operations.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kirby.
Yep.
Kirby kept his
Yep, he kept his
his
executive committee position.
executive
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
And Tommy Turner is secretary treasurer.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we have the 4 executive committee is Mike Marola, Kirby Ricketts. Oh gosh, thanks guys. Why am I drawing a
Bethany
blank?
Small.
Bethany Smalls, thank you, and
Nope.
Natasha
Small.
Patterson.
Singular. Not plural. Singular. Small.
Singular. Okay. Bethany Smalls.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction.
Yeah, no S at the end. And she will let you know.
Yes, she will. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
she's
I
she's
get
good.
that. Yes.
She's awesome.
So yeah, so we all in all it was an okay national convention. I really don't have much on the negative side to say about it. There was some good stuff going. You always have your pros and
Well,
cons, but
yeah,
I think all in all it went all right.
I agree. There's a lot of things that I started. I keep notes in my phone for different things too,
Mhm.
and I in order for me to like process, I think some of it, I've like wrote out new resolutions and you know ideas to bring forth at my local meeting, and and start that cycle all over again. Of the present stuff at the local level and work its way back up. And there's some of the resolutions and whatnot too. I think needed to be tweaked, and a couple of those people and uh, not back to the drawing board, but back to the let's tweak it and bring it back.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's going to be a lot of that. Do you have any
Absolutely.
predictions for Grapevine?
It's going to be hot. That's my prediction.
Yeah, it was hot and humid again. Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's no fire alarm going off on the hottest day of the year or the hottest day while we're there like it did in 2019. And we all had to evacuate to the parking lot when it was 110 degrees outside with 90% humidity. So I remember that well.
I'm glad I missed it.
All right, guys, your final words for this evening, Josh.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a minute. Um, be safe out there. Continue to hydrate. Don't get overwhelmed. If you do, take a step back, take a deep breath, and step back in. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Meow.
Meow.
Well, I was going to say it was nice chatting with both of you guys tonight and everybody on here because I missed you guys not talking with everybody for the last few weeks there, even though I saw your faces in Orlando, some of you. But the other thing I was going to also say again, please download the NRLCA app. Like that's my big parting words, I guess this week. Stay hydrated. I know that it's still hot in some areas, and there is still frost warnings in some others. So, if you have veggies and hoses hooked up, so make sure that you're disconnecting your water hoses from your house. Please try and attend some of your local meetings. If I know that we're going to start that new cycle, like I said, up again. I know mine is in October, but start trying to plan for some of these meetings now, and so that it's not a sudden thing. Put in leave slips for them now because you already know when they're going to be, and you're giving management a heads up to cover those routes for that time frame. So be safe, everybody, and try and have a good week. Kristen.
Thank you guys for joining me this evening. I appreciate it, and it's so great to be back. And yeah,
It is.
I'm looking forward to further educating on stuff. And I do know my traveling buddy there, my roommate from National, and the one I'm going to Italy with is going to come back on one of these days. And she has been driving the NGDVs now for just over a month. And she's got one of the new ones. So she's willing to come on and
Really?
talk about the new trucks and the pros and cons and what she absolutely loves about it, which I constantly hear about how great the AC is. So usually it's on that day where I'm stuck in the human air fryer for 6 hours in 90-degree weather with 80% humidity. And yeah, and I always get, oh, the AC is great. Yeah, shut up. But
I'll tell you
yeah,
what. I'm looking forward to being able to walk back to walk through to the back to grab a parcel rather
right,
than having
right.
to get out and reach or climb up.
Yeah. So no, yeah,
There's a
she's
picture
so
of
that.
somebody online that I saw standing up in the whole back, and they were like really tall.
Oh, I
So
know. I was showing pictures of me sitting in the NGDV at National, and they're like, "Wow, you look really small in that." But I was showing my postmaster the pictures when I was doing my mapping this past week, updating that and whatnot. And she's like, "Oh wow!" I was showing my city carrier PTF 204B. I'm like, "Hey, did I show you these yet?" And he's like, "No, no." So I had to show him. I don't know. Someday I'll see those. But yeah, I think we're gonna do an episode in the near future too about the different vehicles and the LLVs, the mattresses, the FFVs, POVs, experience driving all those, and she will be joining us to talk about the NGDVs. So that'll be a fun little insight. And yeah,
Woohoo!
I know I'm so excited to be back. So I look forward to being back. Still deciding what we're gonna do when I leave for Italy. Um, Whether or not I'm going to take my laptop with me with a 6 hour time difference, but we'll figure it out. We've got a few weeks before that. So, but other than that, guys, stay safe this week. It's great to be back on here again. Thank you to Josh and Meow for joining me. And we will be back next week.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yay!